scale your real estate business with none other than the man with the python arms. They big too. Mr. Jamel Gibbs, coming up. What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Take Action Low. And again, welcome to another episode of the Take Action with Low show, where we talk about taking action, doing things different so that you can be better. Not only a better entrepreneur, but a better person, a better version of yourself. And I'm extremely excited to have this young man, the man with the python arms, Mr. Jamel Gibbs.
How's everything today?
Oh, everything's well. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. And if you don't know Jamel, he is the founder of the REI Education Academy. It's a real estate investing education and mentoring company that is dedicated to helping aspiring real estate investors achieve personal success and the lifestyle they desire through investing in real estate. And he's helped a lot of folks, including myself. So I've been a fan and a follower for a while. So again, Jamel, thank you so much. So let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you were doing before you got into real estate.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be on your show. I love when people like yourself and others are putting out information that will be valuable to our listeners and people who are either looking to get started in real estate or maybe they're in the trenches already, but they're just looking to take their business to the next level. So just want to say thank you for that and contributing to the community. For myself, I've been in real estate since 2002. I started at a very young age. I was 21 years old when I first started in the business. And before that, I was actually cutting hair, and I was a cold caller on Wall Street for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, fresh out of high school. So I graduated high school in 99. I worked in a barbershop for a little while. Shortly after that, I went to Wall Street. I was offered a position cold calling for about $500 a month. Wasn't a lot of money, but what kept me at that job is I saw guys my age. This kind of opened my eyes to the business world in general. I saw guys my age making millions of dollars just because they were there for a certain amount of time and they worked hard. So that kind of put the bug in me. I said, if they can do it, I can definitely do it. And I put forth the effort to become a broker. We were spot trading currencies. Unfortunately, the business went bankrupt after 9/11, and then I had to start all over. So I went back to the barbershop for a few months. And then one of my friends, he was in the real estate business at that time as an agent. And he said, hey, why don't you become an agent? He showed me this check. It was like 30 grand, 25, 30 grand. Obviously, that was a lot of money to me at the time. And he was my age. So I said, let me go ahead and get my real estate license. It took me 2 weeks to get my real estate license in New York. And I started brokering deals in Brooklyn, where I'm from. While I was in the realtor field, I used to come across investors that were making tons of money. One day, I actually sold $1 million house in the Fort Greene area of Brooklyn, and I made $48,000 on that check. But the guy who actually flipped the property made like 300 or 400 grand. I can't remember the exact amount. And that just, I said, I'm in the wrong field. I need to, I need to set my game up. So then I started looking into investing. And between 2000 and the ending of 2002, going into 2006, I flipped hundreds of houses, just kind of rinsing and repeating the process that was shown to me at that time, which was buy a house, fix it up, do a refi cash out, and then either rent to own or rent the property out. So I bought a couple of hundred houses between Brooklyn and Pennsylvania. I ended up moving to Pennsylvania back in, actually, it was January 1st, 2006. And there, I stayed there for 8 years up until 2014. And that's where I really made a stamp in my real estate business. I made some money. I made a lot of money before I left Brooklyn, as you can imagine, with the pricing of the New York market. But between 2006 and 2014, I bought hundreds of houses in Pennsylvania, and I really did well. And because of that, I started my education platform, started showing other people. I didn't even know education existed for real estate investors back then. It wasn't as widespread as it is today, but there were a sprinkle of people out there who had some information. And then from there, we basically came in and just cleaned up. Now, come 2007, 2008, up until 2010, I struggled. I actually went bankrupt because we were spread too thin with all of the rehabs we had out there, and then the market tanked, so we couldn't sell a house. We couldn't even give away a house at that point. So I started looking into other aspects of real estate investing, like wholesaling, REOs, and things like that. So we would be in contact with realtors who control bank-owned properties, and I started flipping a lot of those. So I ended up from 2009-ish into like maybe 12. We did really well with that. Then we started tapping into the private market again, the private owner sector. Around 13, we started doing a lot of marketing to private sellers. It's kind of seeing that everybody was doing the REO thing at that time. And from 2013 up until maybe 2015, I did a lot more rehabs and some wholesaling and some creative investing. Around 2015, I stopped doing as much. Well, around 2017, I didn't. I kind of slowed down on the rehabs. We started doing some new construction and a lot more creative investing, as well as wholesaling. Over the last couple of years, I built 33 houses last year on about 12 acres of land. We were going to start another new construction project, but given the way this year, 2020, has been, we kind of put that off to the side, just not knowing where the market is going to go. I didn't want to get caught out there again. So I'm playing a little smarter than before, but we're buying a lot of, we're doing a lot of creative deals, doing a lot of wholesaling, 2 to 3 deals a week at this point, and actually closing 2 to 3 deals a week at this point. And we're just, we're 18, 19 years in the business.
Yeah.
I've bought over 1,000 houses, and that's kind of where we are today.
You know what? I'm so glad that you took the time, and that's why I didn't interrupt you, because I wanted you to share just the timeline, because I know you've been doing this close to 20 years, and and being the young man that you are. I think it's important for the audience to understand where you started and how you have evolved. And it sounds like that you've been able to stay plugged in and stay educated on the market and the trends and the changes, and you've adjusted your business and whatever shifts or pivots you need to make, you've been able to do that. And that's smart. That's smart as an entrepreneur. So that goes into my next question. 2020, the year we'll never forget, none of us. But what would you say? I heard you say you're doing a lot of wholesale deals. Actually, on our end, we're doing wholesale deals, but we're representing a ton of buyers. And I think with the interest rates being so low, because we're able to do both ends, and I believe that you all are as well, the traditional and non-traditional. Can you share some of the marketing or maybe ways that you're marketing? Because that's always the number one question. What do you do to market to get motivated seller leads?
Great question. See, we have a 5-step process. We do a lot of direct mail. We go into text messaging and ringless voicemail and things like that as well. I'm going to share a simple game plan, which works really well for us. We actually simplified before this whole 2020 thing has been going on. We had that 5-step game plan. I've actually simplified it, and we're doing more deals now than ever. What we do is we make an initial contact, and I'm going to explain what we do and how we do it. But we make an initial contact, and then we follow up. We use the other forms of marketing to follow up with the homeowners. So there's 3 points of initial contact. We have direct mail. I feel like text messaging has become really popular in 2020. And because everybody is doing text messaging, our direct mail has picked up dramatically. So you do the opposite. I've learned over the years to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. It's going to be a little more expensive, yes, but the results is going to speak for itself if everybody's focusing on text messaging and you're going back to the guerrilla marketing tactics, right? So we do a lot of direct mail, we do a lot of text messaging, and a lot of cold calling. We slowed down on our RVMs primarily because of I don't want to build my business around a strategy that may be obsolete in a couple of years because of the laws that are taking place. For example, in Florida, they're frowning upon it. And if they're frowning upon it, I'm not saying it's going to go away, but if they're going to give us a hard time, I don't want to build my business around that. So what works really well for us is sending out a postcard. And what I do is I make sure we receive a postcard as well once that postcard blast goes out. We focus on vacant properties. We focus on any level of motivation from the seller. But typically, the reason why we receive that postcard is because we know once we receive the postcard, chances are everyone else is going to receive the postcard as well. So what we do is we'll follow up immediately. The minute we receive that postcard, we have it set that the property owners are going to receive a text message that says something like, hey, there's a big postcard in your mailbox right now. Be sure to check that postcard out and give us a call once you receive it. So it's kind of like curiosity marketing. And we find that works really, really well. And then the message on the postcard alone will make them want to call us. So that number one, they want to know what this postcard is about just by receiving a text message. They go out to the mailbox, and when they receive the postcard, they're calling us back. So that increases our response rate.
Yeah.
If we don't get a response from them in 2 days, then we'll send them an email. Then we'll go ahead and send them an RVM. And then we'll also pick up the phone and call them as well. We've been getting a lot of deals through cold calling. We've been getting a lot of deals through RVMs. I'm about 98% hands off in my real estate business at this point because we have a team of about 21 people.
Nice.
Between my education platform and my real estate business, which allows me to focus on just continuing to generate more revenue through other aspects. For example, with the education platform, we do a lot of content. So I focus on the content and the coaching. With the real estate, I focus on management, right? Just making sure all of the moving pieces are in place. So we do a team call every other day just to make sure that we're on track and on pace with our goals.
Yes.
But for the most part, that marketing tactic right there works really, really well for us, whether it's cold calling or direct mail. We're always going to follow up with a text message, an RVM, and an email. And then it just works. And we just keep hitting the same list every 8 weeks indefinitely. We pull a new list every 4 weeks. So if we do, let's say, vacant properties during the first week of the month, we'll hit that list again 8 weeks later. But 4 weeks after that, we're pulling maybe a code violation list or a probate list or something like that. And we're just kind of adding more lists on and following up indefinitely to these lists.
Yep.
And just getting deals that way, increasing the response rate.
That's awesome. And for those of you that's listening, go back and listen to this, because he shared probably what he charges to teach as far as marketing. A lot of people don't really like to share, or they share a little bit of what they do in their marketing, but you really kind of broke it down with what you all are doing. And I think that's fantastic. And I think it's interesting that you're starting with direct mail, because that's one of the things that we typically will use direct mail for follow-up. We are using cold calling more heavily. And you're right. I think cold calling, text message marketing, and video marketing.
Probably. I learned that from you.
It's been some of the most effective marketing for us, but even with leveraging video testimonials. We've learned that strategically setting those videos up in campaigns, for example, with Facebook ads, has really been worked really well for us. But I think it's fantastic what you shared, and I took a couple of notes. I
have to admit as well, we do Facebook ads. I'm not as strong in that area, although we've closed deals. I was actually considering hiring someone to come on board who's more I know how to run Facebook ads, but I just don't have the bandwidth as far as time to really learn it and dig into that trade. So I was considering hiring someone
so let's talk after.
Bring them on board. Yeah, let's talk.
So, we got a digital marketing agency. We can probably help you with that. I love to talk to you.
Anyway, that's good to know.
I thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely interested. In addition to that, I like the fact that you mentioned when you cold call, you follow up with a postcard. We do the same exact thing. So we have different entry levels. So whether it's a direct mail, or if it's a cold call, or even a text message on an entry level, we always follow up with the next best thing, a postcard, or so on and so forth. So it really depends on how we're entering the conversation, because all we're doing is building a relationship with people that we don't know through multiple modalities. And when they're really ready to sell, we're in the right place at the right time. That's what marketing is, right?
Yes.
You're just building a relationship with people you don't know, kind of like a TV commercial playing every 15 minutes. They're building that relationship with you subliminally, and you don't even know it. So when you're ready to go eat something, or you're ready to go buy something, the first company that's in the back of your mind is that one. Even if you don't do business with them, they're still in the back of your mind. That's kind of what we do as investors. We're marketers first, then we're problem solvers, then we're real estate investors, which should be the least of our, the real estate investing part comes, in my opinion, with making money. But we're marketers first. We have to drive the leads. Then we got to solve the problems. Then we get to make the money as the investor, So I like the fact that you mentioned that.
Awesome. Nope, you're on point. This is great. So with 2020, are you all buying and holding anything right now, or are you waiting, or you just, because the moratoriums are still in place at the time of this interview with the landlords and evictions and forbearance. So what's your whole position on that? Are you waiting to the first of 2021, or are you just kind of still buying anything that makes sense? That's a no-brainer deal.
So what I'm doing right now, we're doing a lot of creative deals, and rather than doing long-term holds, we've been doing a lot of rent to owns this year. It's a different type of buyer. So here's a buyer who is looking to purchase a property. Believe it or not, a lot of people, even though 2020 has been kind of crazy, there's still buyers out there with money, people who want to purchase a home. Maybe they don't want to go to the bank. Maybe their credit isn't good enough, but they still make enough money. I don't know, and I'm not trying to throw this in anybody's face, but 2020 has been a very good year for us financially in our business. And that's the case with a lot of people. So you have people out there who have money and they can afford the monthly payment. So we've been selling a lot on rent to own and just creating home ownership. So it's a different mindset of a buyer coming in. They have that appreciation of home ownership versus I'm just going to rent this place and then eventually leave. Their long-term goal is to stay there. So if they're putting down a significant down payment, they want to stay. They don't want to lose their down payment. And that helps us in collecting every single month. We haven't had an issue at all. I think my game plan next year is going to change back to buy and holds. I'm moving more into the multifamily sector. Small apartments is kind of like my niche at this point. I believe you make more money on small apartments than you do on larger apartment buildings, just from my personal experiences. So where we might own a 50-unit apartment building or 30-unit apartment building, we'll make $100 a unit. We'll make on a smaller apartment between, let's say, as little as 2 units up to 20 units, we're going to make $250 per apartment. Those are just the real numbers, so I just had this conversation with a friend of mine who's an investor. He's well known as well, but he said same thing for his business. His goal was to do 1,000 units. He owns more than 1,000 units at this point, but he notices in order to make $1 million a month, you need 1,000 apartment units. But you can own 400 to 500 small apartments and make the same $1 million a year. I said a month, but it's a year. You can own less units when you do small apartments and still make the same kind of money as you would with larger. So that's kind of where I'm going over the next. Let's see what happens in the next 6 months.
So let me ask you this. I'm glad you shared that, because that's something that we're also pretty much going to be looking at doing single for the last 12 years now. Multifamily has been on the radar. We actually put in a couple of offers last year to, I think one was like a 70 plus unit. Anyway, long story short, it was an escrow. It didn't work out. Something on the seller side and title, but I'm excited to get more into the multifamily side. One of the questions I was going to ask, is it partnerships that you're working with? Are you more on the syndication, or are you more on the private money end?
I'm more of using my own capital to get in and less partnerships. I want to have more control and more ownership. I'm pretty without putting it out there too much, I've been investing for a long time, so I'm pretty good on the financial aspect of it, where I can use my own capital to be able to do it.
Yes.
If I get to a certain point where I want to hit a growth spurt, then yes, partnerships will be the way to do it for me. Syndication is also good. I have a friend who owns, well, I spoke to him a couple months ago. He was just approaching 4,000 units.
Nice.
But for me, I'm looking to have more control over the property than anything. Sometimes partnerships can get messy. And I'm kind of building this legacy for my wife and kids. Something happens to me today, they're all set, but I want them to be able to, I want to build that generational wealth.
Absolutely.
That people talk about. So in order for me to have that, people might have a different opinion with this, but from my experiences, in order to really have that generational wealth and build that legacy, you got to be able to control majority of your assets. So that's kind of the way I'm going with it.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that's fantastic. What keeps you motivated on days that, may be heavy, got a lot going on in the world, personal life? What keeps you motivated?
It's kind of funny. I'm kind of self-motivated. I grew up in the projects and we didn't have much growing up. I've always been self-motivated, but what drives me now versus when I was younger is I have four daughters and a wife.
All girls. Oh, wow.
all girls. So I don't want them to have to rely on any man or anybody. I'm not saying that, one day they'll get married or whatever, and whatever the case may be with that. But I want them to be able to be independent if they chose to. I don't want them to have to rely on anybody to take care of them. Um, I want them to be well off. In fact, I'll share what I'm doing with my wife and I. What we're doing with the girls.
Sure.
We're purchasing 20 units each. Um,
Awesome.
and one daughter, she's 15. She's my oldest, but she's going to have 20 units paid off by the time she's 18 years old.
Wow.
And I'm doing that with each of them. But I'm not just going to give them the properties. I'm going to make them earn the property. So if they choose real estate as a way to live their lives or as a career option, what I plan on doing is having them flip a couple of houses. I'll be their private money lender, give them the money. I'll teach them the flipping game, understand how to use the money and how to reinvest the money to pay off maybe 5 apartments. Then if they pay off 5, I'm going to give them the other 5 and then do the same thing. So then they'll have an appreciation. It'll be like they worked for it. Maybe it'll take 5 years, but they'll work for it. And even though it's paid off now for them, by the time, the first one is 18, even though it'll be paid off, she'll have the appreciation of working for what she owns. And then when it's given to her, she can appreciate it a lot more. So I didn't have someone to show me these financial tweaks when I was growing up. And I'm like the first one in my entire family to ever start any type of business or own anything. And for me, I believe that if you're given too much, you won't appreciate it. I worked hard for this, and I believe that my kids need to understand the value of hard work as well. So I'm not just going to give it to them, even though it's theirs. I'm going to make them work for it for a certain amount of time, so that they can build that appreciation for it. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Fantastic. And I think others should do the same. I know a lot of other people that do that, that have wealth. My wife and I, we don't have children, but we have nieces and nephews.
Mm-hmm.
So we are thinking, about that as well, even with them, as we continue to build our real estate business as far as leaving
Mm-hmm.
legacy or leaving assets to help them. I think that's great. One last question I want to ask you. So, for a young man or a young woman that may be watching this interview, excuse me, who may be unemployed, not working, been furloughed, and they have kids, and they really want to get started with real estate investing, what would you encourage them to do first? What would you say the first step would be for them?
Honestly, that's a great question. For me, I had well, there's 2 different ways to play the game. So it took me a year to make my first $1,500. After that, I met. I'm just gonna throw a name out there. Her name was Rhonda. Her and her wife, they became my first private money lenders, and that allowed me to just take my business to the next level. But if I wouldn't have started, Rhonda and her wife would have never come about, right? So the reason I'm saying that is I had to take that first step. You'll be surprised, you'll be amazed at what happens just by taking a step and adding something to your business or your relationships or your network every single day. If you just add one thing to your business every day, there's no way you're going to fail, because it's just going to snowball into this big thing, and it's going to turn into something that you would have never dreamed of. And that's what happened with me. So I truly believe that, number one, you're doing the right thing right now by educating yourself, listening to these podcasts and courses and things like that. Educate yourself, but don't spend too much time on education, because although education is great, education is useless if you don't apply it. So you got to take action. You got to learn something, but then go out there and do it. So I was great at pressing play on a video, pausing the video, then going to do it. Then come back, press play, pause the video, go do it. And then just keep doing that over and over and over again. And don't give up, right? Think about it like this. You know, if it was a matter of life and death, you have kids right now. If you don't do something, your kids will, number one, they'll see that you're a quitter. Number two, they'll also see they'll see that it's going to be very difficult for them, whether they understand it now or not. But if it was a matter of life and death and you needed to get to the emergency room and you get in the car, you start the car, you put the car in drive, you start driving and you hit a roadblock, are you just going to give up? No, right? You're going to find another way. And you go down road number 2 and there's a big hole in the wall or on the street, another roadblock. Are you going to just quit? No. Because eventually you're going to find that road that you need to go down in order to get from where you are now to the emergency room. Same thing with this business and life in general. If you give up, either you're going to be quitting too early or you're never going to succeed at anything, because the minute you give up is the minute you stop making progress. So I say all of that to say this. I told somebody this recently who asked me, hey, how do I get started in real estate? I'm afraid to get started. And I said, don't be selfish, right? So you have all of these people depending on you. If somebody has kids, your kids are depending on you. You have homeowners depending on you. You have all of these people that you can help just by taking a small action every day. But if you're selfish, you're thinking about your fears and all of the reasons why you can't do it versus the reasons why you can do it, and not being selfish. If you continue to be selfish, you'll continue to be in the same position you are now that you were in 2 years that you are now. And if that continues, then guess who's going to suffer? Everybody in your circle, your kids, your parents, or the homeowners that you can help, so on and so forth. So many people you can help. But if you take one action of selflessness, don't be selfish, be selfless, and you take action, you can help so many people around you, so many people in your circle, so many homeowners, and you can really change lives. Not only your life, but everybody's life that you're involved with, and really be able to change the game for yourselves. So I say all of that to say this, Lo, it's about taking massive action in order to get massive results. That's the only way, based off of, what your question was, that's the only way to really change your life. You got to do something, and you got to keep grinding and keep going, because eventually you're going to break the barriers through and things are going to change for you, but you got to get started.
And with that, it's a wrap. I mean, you summed it up perfectly. It's all about taking action at the end of the day. Oh, it's wonderful. For those of you that's listening, go back and listen at this replay. This was great. I'm going to do that. And also make sure you share this video. Jamel, thank you so much. How can people contact you and reach out to you?
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
So can they visit your Facebook page?
Oh,
what do you prefer for them to?
So if they wanted to contact me, the easiest way to do it, honestly, I provide a lot of content on YouTube. Okay. You can visit my YouTube page. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. So you can visit my Facebook page. You can visit me on Instagram. I put out content every day on each platform. YouTube, I don't put out content every day, but multiple times per week. If you want to learn, go to YouTube. If you want to be motivated, go to Instagram. If you just want to connect, go to Facebook. And those are the best ways to get in contact with me.
Awesome. It's been an honor. I appreciate you so much.
It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. So everyone, you already know, now it's time to go and take action. Thank you, Jamel.
All right, and with that being said, make sure to subscribe here to my channel. Click the like button on this video if you liked it, and also hit the bell to get notifications of other videos that's coming out. I appreciate you. Take action.